What's good, folks? Chef London back with another video. Early in the morning, it's Saturday. It's beautiful outside, man. It's supposed to be like 110 degrees outside. Something crazy. It was good. Yesterday I was outside. Yesterday was hot too. I'm in New York, folks, for those of you who don't know. Yesterday I was working out. I was outside. There's a bunch of kids outside. They're playing basketball. These were older guys too, man. They're like, I would say they're in their early 20s. So, you know, I had my shirt off and the guy, they start asking me questions. They're like, hey man, how long does it take to get that big? Like, how often do you work out? They're asking me all these questions about fitness. So one of the guys, he starts talking, he says, man, I just don't have the time, man. I work, I go to school part-time, I got a girl, blah, 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 all these excuses. I just listen, I didn't say anything. I hear this conversation all the time, man. Like, I'll give you another example. There's another kid. He goes to the gym, and he knows I'm a trainer, so he wants to be a trainer, and he was asking me, you know, where he could get certified. So I told him where he could get certified, and I was just giving him some tips about like how you could go about getting the, you know, it's not that hard to get a personal training certificate. So I was just telling him about that and all other different certifications you could get. And I was like, man, is this something that you really want to do? And he was like, yeah, you know, he's a young guy too. He's got to be like 23 or something like that. So I was just asking him, I'm like, and he went to college, but he's working at this gym. And I was just, I was like, man, do you want to be a personal trainer? He's like, yeah, da da da. So I was telling him about the business. I'm like, yo, this is a hard business, man. Like, if you want to make a lot of money, you know, like it's tough. I was like, the main thing that you really need to focus on if you want to be a personal trainer is your body. I'm like, that's what's going to get you clients if you're in really good shape. You can't be like a slouch, you know. There are some cases where there are slouches, but that's a whole nother conversation, and that's not what the video is about. This is what he said. He was like, yeah, he's like, well, I work 2 jobs and I just don't have the time to work out the way I want to work out. Which leads me to this conversation about time. Everybody's talking about time all the time. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. And, you know, there's a really good book. Really good book. It's called Managing Oneself. And the first page of the book is the whole book. You don't even need to read anything more after this. First page of the book, he said, Leonardo da Vinci, Picasso, Mozart. He names all these prolific artists. He was like, they all had the same 24 hours in a day that the slouch has. So what's the difference between you and them? You all have the same 24 hours in a day. So what's the difference between someone doing prolific work, like great work, and then the bum, the guy who's doing no work? And I think about this for myself, right? Like I used to have a problem. Like I struggle with carving out time to get 10 minutes a day to meditate. But then I think about it, I'm like, Oprah meditates every day. And Oprah has way more things on her plate than I do. She runs a $1 billion company. She's worth $1 billion. So she has way more things that she's juggling than I am. So if she can meditate for 10 minutes a day, I should be able to meditate 10 minutes a day. Here's a good exercise to get into, right? Get a piece of paper. I want you to write down 3 things. How many hours do you sleep each night? How many hours do you work each week? And then how much time do you spend with family/friends, all right? All right, so let's go through this, folks. So let's say you work 40 hours a week, right? If you got a full-time job, it takes you an hour to get to work, an hour to get back, I would imagine. So 48 hours a week is dedicated to your job, how you make money, right? And then sleep. Now, let's say you sleep 8 hours a night, which I guarantee there's not one person who's going to watch this video that sleeps 8 hours a night. Not one. But I'm going to give you 8 hours, right? 8 times 7 gets you 56. That's 56 hours sleeping. And let's say family/friends, right? I'm being generous here too, right? So that tallies up to 18. All right, so when we add all this up, that's 48, 56, 18. That comes up to 122 hours, right? I write like a 3rd grader, by the way. All right, like a 3rd grade boy. But I'm a phenomenal speller, all right? Anyway, now let's do this. There's 168 hours in a week, right? So when you do the math, you minus 122 from 168, what does that come out to, right? That comes out to 46 hours, right? Something like that. 46 hours that you have free time. Look at that. There you got 46 hours left to do your thing, right? And working out really only required 5 hours, man. That's if you're trying to kill it. That's if you're trying to have a really elite body. 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, 5 hours. You still got 41 hours to play with, right? Which you could do whatever you want with that time. Like, you start a business. I work on my business during that time frame, right? So I don't know, but maybe you don't want to be an entrepreneur or a business person. That's fine. Maybe you invest even more in your health. Maybe you put in an hour and a half a day at the gym, right? But my whole point in telling you this is that there's time. There's plenty of time, man. You probably just throw your time away, right? You probably just don't use it right. Someone showed me that exercise a while ago, and it stuck with me, and I always go back to it. When I see myself super busy, I'm like, man, what's going on? Like, well, I don't have enough time. What am I doing with my time? Let me break down my week. So here's a takeaway. Here's a good assignment for you to do, folks. For a week, you should track your time. Not even a week. 5 days, you should track your time from the moment you get up. So log your time from the moment you get up. See what you're doing. How much time do you, how long does it take you to get ready for work? What's your commute like? What do you do during your lunch period? What do you do when you get home? Track that for a week, and I'm telling you, that's scary. That'll change your life. You'll see how much time you're just like throwing away. And now look on Instagram. I can guarantee this. Most of you spend your time on Instagram and YouTube. And the good thing about Instagram will show you how much time you spend each day on Instagram. You know what? Put it in the link in the description. If you're brave, put it in the link in the description. Tell me how much time you spend on Instagram. It's in your settings. You can see how much time you log every day on Instagram. That's been scary for me, man. I've gotten it down to 15 minutes, and I'm proud of that, man. I'm proud of that. So I want to bring it down lower. But on the flip side, there's been times where I spent a lot of time on Instagram, where that thing said like at 45 minutes a day. And I was like, wow, 45 minutes a day. Here's a couple techniques, man. There's a ton of time management techniques, right? People will tell you, oh, you need to get up at 4. I get up at 4:30 5 days a week. On the weekend, I get up around 5:30. But everybody's not wired like that. You know what I mean? That's just me. That worked for me. So, but other people, like, I'll give you an example. Like Jeff Bezos, the richest man on the planet, he's the dude that owns Amazon. He gets up late. He kind of chills. And then he doesn't go into the office until like 10 a.m. But he is a guy who's like a visionary. So he just takes time to like think and just kind of like needs space. He doesn't need to get up and go right at it. So that's just his process. So you got to find your process. But back to this book that I was telling you about, managing oneself. The whole premise of the book, the first page, it was all on the first page of the book. He said the difference between Leonardo da Vinci, Picasso, Mozart, all these great artists, in comparison to like the regular human, is that they spend the majority of their waking hours on their superpower, their skill. All right, so whatever you're good at, they spend the majority of the time doing that. So what's that for you? What's that for you? So, this is a fitness video, right? I'm giving you techniques on how you can, I'm letting you know there's enough time for you to work out. But on the flip side, I think you should be spending the majority of your time doing things, operating in your superpower, your main skill. And I think that's how the world will reward you over time, right? So what's your superpower? And everyone has one. And I've never met anyone that's not good at something. Everybody has something that they're good at. Let me just end off with this, man. There's a lot of different ways you can manage your time. Like there's this one method, it's called the Pomodoro method, right? That's like where you use, it's like a series of timers. You set 20-minute timers throughout the day. And it's like you work on a task for 20 minutes, you rest for 5 minutes, and then you work on another task for 20 minutes, you rest for 5 minutes. It's good, it's real structure, a lot of structure. Another technique, it's this other guy named Gary Keller. He has this book called The One Thing. It's a good book. And his whole premise is that you can't manage all areas of your life well, right? Like, and his whole thing is like, you need to just focus on your one thing, whatever your one skill is. And other stuff is gonna dip. Like, your laundry may dip, your lawn may dip, all this stuff may take a dip, your car might not be as clean, but you're working on your one superpower. And if you spend time on your one superpower, your one skill, you'll start making money and then you'll be able to have enough money to start delegating those tasks. So maybe you hire someone to do your lawn, or you hire someone to do your laundry. So that's his whole thing, right? Then you got the Pareto principle, right? That's 80-20, where you spend most of your time focusing on things that are going to move the dial in life, right? You only focus on the priorities. So if you're like a content person, if you're a social media person, you spend the majority of your time creating content for social media, if that's your skill. All right, so those are a couple techniques, man. You got to do what works for you, man. Like me, I'm a guy who likes structure. I need a lot of structure. So I don't like the Pomodoro method with all the timers, because it just doesn't, it's just not for me, right? But I like the 80-20 principle. I like to spend most of my days focusing on things that move the dial, that are gonna make my life better. So fitness is my business, right? So I don't spend a ton of time in the gym, but I do that first thing in the morning. I get that out of the way because it's probably one of the more important things that I have to do, because my body's a big part of my business. It's a big part of who I am. All right, so I do a lot of things with fitness. I do a lot of things in business, and my personal training business, things that move the dial. All right, anyway, hopefully that was helpful, folks. If it was, hit that like button.